Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bold and Beautiful today. Grace was regretful. She paid Bill $1 million and asked him not to contact the police. Bill gets questioned by Liam's three guests. When John Finnegan, Steffi Forrester, and Hope Logan arrive, they will quiz Bill Spencer about the three urgent visitors Liam Spencer is expecting. Bill is hoping that the MRI findings will show that the tumor was completely removed now that Liam is sleeping well at the Spencer mansion. Bill will invite Hope, Steffi, and Finn to stay at his house while he waits for those results. Bill will warn that Liam is still weak and sleepy from his procedure once the three of them request to visit him. Steffi will reiterate Finn's admission that he's still seeking clarification on that, stating that they're all perplexed. Finn will question why Bill didn't consult him because he would have assisted Bill in sorting out the facts if he had been aware of this. Bill would contend that since Grace Buckingham stated that this may work and they just chose to move on, there was no time for discussion. Hope will be relieved to hear that after Bill has insisted that he would do anything to save his son's life. Hope will be thankful that Bill is now supporting Liam because she wanted him to talk about his brain tumor sooner. Nevertheless, according to B&B spoilers, Hope, Steffi, and Finn will have a lot more worries. Making sure Liam is okay and seeing him with their own eyes will be crucial, though. Even though Liam isn't really coherent enough to have a meaningful conversation at the moment, Steffi, Hope, and Finn will speak with him once Bill allows them to enter his room. Finn will keep questioning Bill and could want to see Liam's MRI data since he won't stop until he understands this experimental therapy scenario. Finn might be dubious of any evidence of complete tumor removal if those results are received while he is at home. Given that Grace is obviously involved in a hoax, it appears likely she will provide the $1 million to the individual she owes. Since she has been harassed, Grace will move Bill's money and get someone to stop bothering her. Bill may rejoice over proof of Liam's cure, but the reality is that Liam was most likely duped from the beginning. Liam probably never had a tumor, and all of his medications probably just made his symptoms worse in order to get this fake treatment. For once, Brooke Logan and Taylor Hayes will be on the same side. Since everyone will be supporting Liam's recuperation, Ridge Forrester will see that Brooke and Taylor get along. Unfortunately, since Ridge is about to experience a significant upheaval in his love life, which will ultimately leave Taylor devastated, it will just be the quiet before the storm. Bill Spencer paced like a caged lion, his usual predatory confidence replaced by a palpable, nerve-ridden vigilance. His sole focus was the MRI results still winging their way electronically to his secured devices, the definitive proof. He desperately hoped that the radical, secretive procedure performed on his son Liam had been a miraculous success, that the insidious brain tumor Grace Buckingham had diagnosed was now nothing more than a terrifying memory excised from Liam's brain. Upstairs, Liam lay in a heavily medicated slumber, weak and groggy from the ordeal Bill had orchestrated, a testament to a father's frantic love, yet simultaneously the epicenter of a gathering storm. That storm announced itself with the determined chime of the doorbell, shattering Bill's solitary vigil, and he knew, with a sinking certainty that momentarily eclipsed his hope, that the inevitable confrontation had arrived. Hope Logan, Liam's steadfast wife and the mother of his child, radiating maternal concern mixed with a deep-seated frustration over the secrecy, Steffi Forrester, Liam's fiery ex-wife and the mother of his other daughter, her protective instincts honed by years of complex history and fierce loyalty, and Dr. John Finnegan, Steffi's husband, a man of science and medicine whose very presence embodied the skeptical scrutiny Bill had deliberately avoided. Bill steeled himself, smoothing his jacket with a habitual gesture that failed to mask his inner turmoil, before opening the door to the trio whose unified purpose was etched onto their worried faces. They didn't waste time on pleasantries. Hope's eyes immediately sought the staircase, her voice tight with urgency. "How is he, Bill? We need to see Liam now." Steffi stepped forward, her gaze piercing, echoing Hope's demand. "Is he conscious? What did they do to him?" Finn, standing slightly apart yet emanating a quiet, formidable authority, remained silent for a beat, his analytical eyes already scanning Bill, assessing, questioning without words. Bill held up a hand, attempting to project an air of weary authority. "He's resting comfortably, as comfortable as he can be. The procedure, it took a lot out of him. He's still weak, groggy." You need to understand, he needs quiet, not an interrogation. This attempt at control faltered instantly under Finn's focused intensity. The doctor stepped forward, his voice calm but laced with a steely undercurrent that demanded answers science, not paternal instinct, could provide. Groggy from the procedure, Bill? That's precisely what we need clarity on, Finn stated, his gaze unwavering. What was the procedure? What anesthesia was used? What was the surgical approach? Grace Buckingham, who exactly is she affiliated with? What peer-reviewed data supported this experimental treatment? Steffi instantly aligned herself with her husband's medical skepticism, her voice sharpening with shared confusion and rising anger. Finn's right, Bill. We're all confused. Utterly baffled. 1 minute Liam's struggling with debilitating symptoms, the next he's whisked away for some secret brain surgery orchestrated by a woman none of us have ever heard of? It doesn't make sense. Finn pressed his advantage, his frustration now evident, not just as a concerned stepfather figure, but as a medical professional whose expertise had been blatantly disregarded in a matter of life or death importance. If you were truly acting in Liam's best medical interest, Bill, why wasn't I consulted? I'm a doctor. I could have helped you navigate this, evaluate the risks, sort through the facts, connect you with specialists at University Hospital. Why the secrecy? Why bypass actual medical professionals? Bill's jaw tightened, the familiar Spencer stubbornness flaring in defense. He met Finn's gaze head-on, his voice rising with a raw, paternal ferocity that momentarily silenced the room. There wasn't time for debates or committees, Finn. Grace presented a solution, a chance, a real chance, when everything else seemed hopeless. Liam was deteriorating fast, the symptoms were accelerating. Grace believed this could work, that it would work. We saw an opportunity to save his life, and we took it. Would you stand there debating protocols while your son slips away? I did what any father would do. I would do anything, absolutely anything, to save my son's life. The raw conviction in Bill's declaration, the primal fury of a father facing his child's potential mortality, struck a chord in hope. Her eyes, still shadowed with worry, softened fractionally. She understood that desperate, all-consuming drive to protect someone you love, the terror of impending loss. She stepped slightly closer to Bill, her voice quieter but firm. We all would, Bill. We all want Liam well. And I am glad he has your support now, that you're fighting for him. God knows I begged him to open up about what he was going through sooner, to let us all help carry this burden. Her gratitude for Bill's current presence, however, couldn't erase the mountain of unresolved questions or the deep unease coiling in her gut. She looked towards the stairs again, her need to physically see Liam, to touch his hand and assure herself he was still breathing, overriding everything else. But Bill, she continued, turning back to him, her voice regaining its edge, supporting him doesn't explain this. It doesn't explain Grace Buckingham, the secrecy, the rush. It doesn't explain why legitimate medical avenues weren't exhausted first. Steffi nodded vigorously, her earlier confusion crystallizing into focused suspicion. Exactly, Hope. Being a supportive father now doesn't erase the recklessness of what you did before. Finn could have helped find real solutions, proven treatments. Finn, absorbing Hope's conflicted acknowledgement but undeterred in his pursuit of medical truth, added, Bill, paternal love is powerful, but it doesn't validate unproven medical interventions. The speed, the lack of consultation, the source, it raises enormous red flags. What data did Grace provide? What were the success rates? The potential complications she outlined? Where are her credentials? Despite Bill's impassioned defense, the unified front of Hope, Steffi, and Finn remained unconvinced, their expressions a tapestry of skepticism, fear, and simmering anger. They had a litany of concerns, the ethics, the potential harm, the mysterious grace, the astronomical cost surely involved, but one primal need momentarily superseded them all. Hope voiced it, her plea cutting through the tension, all the questions, they can wait. For now, Bill, please. Let us see him. Let us see with our own eyes that he's okay. Steffi echoed her, we need to see Liam. now. Even Finn, prioritizing the patient's immediate well-being over the ongoing interrogation, nodded his assent. Reluctantly, seeing the unyielding determination in their eyes, Bill acquiesced. With a curt nod, he led the tense procession up the sweeping staircase towards Liam's room, each step amplifying the dread and hope warring within them. The sight that greeted them was both a relief and a fresh source of anguish. Liam lay pale and still against the pillows, the vibrant energy usually radiating from him utterly subdued. His eyes fluttered open as they entered, registering their presence through a thick haze of medication and post-operative exhaustion. "Hope? Steffi." "Finn," he murmured, his voice slurred, weak, distant. Hope rushed to his side, taking his hand gently, tears welling in her eyes. "We're here, Liam. We're right here." Steffi perched on the other side of the bed, her touch light on his arm, her own eyes glistening. "Just rest, sweetheart. We just needed to see you." Finn stood at the foot of the bed, his doctor's eye clinically assessing Liam's pallor, his respiratory rate, the dilation of his pupils, even as his heart ached for the man who was family. Liam managed a faint, confused smile, struggling to form words. "Sakai. Dad." Grace, fixed. His words trailed off, his eyelids drooping heavily again. The attempt at conversation was brief, fragmented, and ultimately incoherent, a stark testament to his fragile state. Seeing him alive, yet so profoundly diminished and utterly disconnected, only intensified the trio's resolve to get to the bottom of Bill's actions. As they quietly filed out of Liam's room moments later, leaving him to his drugged sleep, the atmosphere in the hallway thickened once more. Finn's professional concern had now hardened into a relentless determination. He wouldn't be placated by paternal rhetoric or vague assurances. He turned to Bill, his voice low but carrying the weight of undeniable authority. "Bill, I need to see everything. Liam's medical records from Grace, preoperative diagnostics, the surgical report, the post-op care instructions. And crucially, I need to see those MRI results the moment they arrive. I cannot rest, I will not rest, until I understand exactly what was done to Liam and whether it was based on sound medical science or something else entirely." He left the implication hanging, heavy and dangerous. Bill, perhaps sensing the tide turning against him, perhaps clinging to his fragile hope, started to protest, but Finn cut him off. "If those results come in while I'm here, I will review them. Liam's well-being demands it." Unbeknownst to the tense group gathered at the Spencer mansion, the architect of this entire crisis, Grace Buckingham, was miles away, enacting the final, damning piece of her scheme. With trembling fingers fueled by equal parts fear and avarice, she initiated the transfer of Bill Spencer's $1 million, the exorbitant price tag for Liam's miracle cure, to the shadowy figure who had been relentlessly harassing her. The payment wasn't for groundbreaking medical research, it was protection money, a desperate bid to free herself from the menacing pressure that had driven her to target Bill and Liam in the first place. Her scam, a meticulously constructed house of cards built on lies and manufactured symptoms, was nearing its conclusion. The pills Liam had been taking? Likely sophisticated placebos or carefully chosen substances designed to mimic the terrifying progression of a brain tumor, headaches, dizziness, confusion, personality shifts, all engineered to create the desperate urgency Bill felt, paving the way for Grace's fake cure and the massive payday it facilitated. While Bill might soon receive digital images he would interpret as proof of a miraculous tumor removal, Finn's trained eye, honed in the rigorous world of legitimate medicine, would likely see only healthy brain tissue or perhaps evidence of a completely unnecessary and potentially harmful intervention. The cure was as fictional as the disease. Elsewhere in Los Angeles, a rare moment of unity was unfolding between former rivals Brooke Logan and Taylor Hayes, brought together by shared concern for Liam, the man who was a son to Taylor and a son-in-law to Brooke. At Forrester Creations, Ridge observed this unexpected truce, a fragile peace forged in the fires of worry for Liam's recovery. They spoke in hushed, hopeful tones, buoyed by Bill's optimistic reports, blissfully unaware of the deception unfolding at the Spencer estate. They envisioned a future where Liam returned to them, healthy and whole. Ridge, perhaps lulled by this temporary harmony and the positive spin on Liam's situation, couldn't foresee the tempest brewing in his own personal life, a storm of romantic entanglements and betrayals that would soon shatter this fragile peace and leave Taylor devastated. But for now, in the Spencer mansion's oppressive silence after the visitor's departure, Bill waited alone for the digital proof he believed would vindicate his drastic actions, while Finn waited with equal intensity for the very same images, certain they would reveal not a medical triumph, but the horrifying contours of an elaborate, dangerous fraud perpetrated on a vulnerable man and his desperate, duped father. The MRI results wouldn't just show brain tissue, they would hold the power to confirm a loving father's hope or expose a cruel, million-dollar con, leaving Liam's true condition, and the devastating emotional fallout, hanging precariously in the balance. It's possible Liam never had a brain tumor in the first place. It's possible that Liam Spencer never had a brain tumor in the first place. For all the information you require, continue reading below. It's possible that Liam never had a brain tumor in the first place. There seems to be conjecture that Liam's brain cancer diagnosis may not be authentic. Considering that he has not received chemotherapy or radiation, nobody would be surprised by it. In addition, he appeared to be a little lightheaded and passed out before to receiving a tumor diagnosis and being prescribed medication. According to some, Dr. Grace Buckingham may have made him sicker than he was in order to receive payment from Bill Spencer. As our readers are aware, there was a lot of discussion about the issue on the internet. Some have gone so far as to remark, is it possible that he has something much less deadly than a brain tumor? Perhaps Dr. Buckingham staged his illness in order to defraud Bill of his money. All of this is really convenient. Additionally, her colleague is available right now. However, performing brain surgery outside of a hospital is dubious. What will happen to Liam Spencer next? I believe that the tumor was the only aspect of his illness that was made up, another critic remarked. After he and Bill got into a fight, he actually suffered a brain bleed that caused him to fall and hit his head, but when Liam was brought to Grace as a patient, she had the idea to use this as a way to con him and his family out of money. Additionally, this comment was made, we are aware that she is dealing with some strange family matters, and based on the previews, it appears that she will receive money from Bill. The notion that this has been a protracted scam is fantastic, but I was really afraid she would make up that she could save him. This might clarify why she is so angry with him for refusing to receive additional care. His symptoms are most likely being caused by the drugs, which also explains why he hasn't passed away yet. Liam Spencer never actually had a brain tumor at all. This pervasive fan speculation, bubbling up through online forums and social media commentary, meticulously dissects the narrative choices and medical improbabilities surrounding Liam's diagnosis to construct a compelling argument that the entire life-threatening condition was an elaborate fabrication, potentially orchestrated by the very person entrusted with his care, Dr. Grace Buckingham. The foundation of this theory rests on several glaring anomalies that deviate sharply from the expected trajectory of a terminal brain cancer diagnosis. Foremost among these is the conspicuous absence of conventional, aggressive treatment. Brain tumors, particularly the aggressive glioblastoma Liam was supposedly diagnosed with, demand immediate and intensive intervention, typically involving a combination of surgery, radiation therapy, and chemotherapy. Yet, Liam's medical journey conspicuously bypassed radiation and chemotherapy entirely. Instead, his treatment regimen consisted solely of mysteriously unspecified pills prescribed by Grace. This deviation from standard oncology protocols is jarring. Radiation and chemo, despite their brutal side effects, are frontline weapons against such malignancies. Their complete omission, especially for a young, otherwise healthy patient with a wealthy family presumably able to afford the best care, strikes many viewers as medically implausible, bordering on negligent, unless, the theory posits, there was no tumor to treat in the first place. The nature of Liam's initial presentation further fuels skepticism. His path to diagnosis began not with the classic, escalating symptoms of a growing brain mass, severe headaches, seizures, significant neurological deficits, personality changes, but with a sudden episode of dizziness leading to a collapse. While dizziness can be a symptom, it's often later stage or accompanied by other significant indicators. The theory suggests this collapse could have stemmed from something far less sinister than a terminal tumor, perhaps severe stress, dehydration, a panic attack, or even a consequence of the heated argument with his father, Bill Spencer, moments before he fell. The theory specifically latches onto the idea that Liam might have suffered a minor brain bleed or concussion from hitting his head during the fall after the argument with Bill, an injury serious enough to cause collapse and require medical attention, but fundamentally different and significantly less lethal than an inoperable glioblastoma. This alternative explanation provides a medically sound basis for the initial crisis without invoking a terminal diagnosis. Enter Dr. Grace Buckingham, whose actions and motivations become the linchpin of the deception theory. Facing significant personal turmoil and financial pressures, exacerbated by her complex family dynamics involving Finn and Sheila, Grace allegedly saw an opportunity in Liam's vulnerable state. The theory proposes that upon examining Liam after his collapse, potentially finding evidence of a concussion or minor bleed, Grace concocted the far more dire brain tumor diagnosis. Her alleged motive? To exploit the deep pockets and desperate love of Liam's father, the billionaire Bill Spencer. By presenting Liam with a terminal condition only she could purportedly treat with her experimental, and conveniently off-the-books, approach, Grace positioned herself as the sole savior, thereby creating a scenario where Bill would be willing to pay exorbitant sums for his son's survival. The pills she prescribed become a critical component of the ruse. Rather than treating cancer, the theory speculates these pills were either placebos, mild sedatives, or even substances designed to induce symptoms mimicking tumor progression or side effects, fatigue, nausea, dizziness. This would explain why Liam's condition seemed to fluctuate based on whether he took the pills, and crucially, why he wasn't deteriorating rapidly as expected with an untreated aggressive brain tumor. As one perceptive viewer articulated, this would explain why she is so upset about him not wanting to take more treatment. The pills are probably causing his symptoms and also would provide a reason why he isn't dead yet. The orchestration of the surgery itself adds layers of suspicion. Grace's reliance on a conveniently available, unvetted colleague to perform the critical brain surgery outside a proper hospital setting, in a non-sterile office environment, defies all medical ethics and safety standards. This reckless approach, presented as necessary due to the tumor's location, is viewed by many as less about medical necessity and more about maintaining control and avoiding scrutiny from other medical professionals who might question the diagnosis or the unorthodox procedure.